There's a machine inside your garage that has been feeding you contaminated water for years. It heats every drop that touches your skin in the shower, every drop that fills your coffee pot in the morning, every drop your children bathe in before bed. And inside that machine right now, there are pounds of calcium rock, iron rust, and black sediment sitting at the bottom of a tank nobody has opened in a decade. The water you drink passes through that filth every single day. A plumber will charge you $160 to drain it. A new unit will cost you $1,500 to $3,000 installed. But $1 of white vinegar dissolves what 10 years of neglect created. The water heater industry generates $32 billion a year, globally selling replacements that most families never needed. The plumbing industry pulls in $170 billion in annual revenue across the United States alone. A $1 fix threatens both of those empires simultaneously, and that is exactly why nobody taught you this procedure. They did not stop teaching it because it failed. They stopped because it worked too well. This is the story of the machine hiding in your garage and the $1 weapon that destroys what it has been quietly building inside itself for years. Welcome to Forbidden Home Science. If these investigations matter to you, the subscribe button and the bell are the simplest way to make sure this knowledge survives. Here we crack open the vaults the industry welded shut. Now let me take you back to where this problem was born. In the 1930s, American manufacturing companies began mass-producing storage tank water heaters for residential homes across the country. The design was elegant in its simplicity and has barely changed in almost a century. A large steel cylinder lined with glass, a gas burner or electric heating element at the bottom, and cold water pumped in through a dip tube that pushes it down toward the heat source. Hot water rises naturally to the top of the tank and waits there until you open a faucet somewhere in your house. 40 to 80 gallons of water sitting inside a sealed steel drum, heated continuously around the clock 365 days a year. The original engineers who designed these systems understood the weak point immediately. American water is not pure, and it was never designed to sit inside a heated metal container for years without consequence. The United States Geological Survey confirmed what those engineers already knew through decades of field observation. 85% of American homes receive hard water through their municipal supply or private well. That means 85 out of every 100 households in this country have water loaded with dissolved calcium, magnesium, and iron minerals picked up from underground rock formations. When that mineral-rich water flows through a cold pipe, those minerals remain invisible and completely harmless. But the moment that water enters a tank heated above 120 degrees Fahrenheit, a chemical reaction begins that changes everything. The dissolved minerals crystallize out of the water and fall to the bottom of the tank like invisible snow settling on a lake bed. Layer after layer, month after month, year after year, with no one watching. Nobody sees it happening because the tank is sealed shut with no window, no indicator light, and no warning system of any kind. After 5 years without a single maintenance flush, the sediment layer can reach half an inch thick. After 10 years, several inches of compacted calcium carbonate, magnesium scale, and rust can accumulate inside the tank, weighing multiple pounds. Picture a coral reef growing inside a sealed steel drum in your garage while you sleep and nobody told you to look. And that is exactly what your water heater looks like inside right now if you have never opened that drain valve. Here is where the numbers get truly ugly. The Department of Energy published data confirming that even a small amount of this mineral sediment increases energy consumption by 15% or more. Your heating element, or gas burner, sits directly underneath that growing layer of calcium rock at the bottom of the tank. The burner fires, and instead of transferring heat directly into water, it heats stone first. That hardite acts as a thermal insulating barrier between the flame and the water column above it. So the burner works harder, runs longer, and consumes significantly more gas or electricity to produce the same water temperature you set on the thermostat dial. That means your energy bill climbs by $150 to $500 every single year, and you blame the utility company or the winter weather. But the real thief is sitting in your garage behind a closed door, running up your utility costs in total silence while you write checks to the power company. Engineers at multiple plumbing research laboratories documented something even more alarming than wasted energy. The thick sediment layer traps extreme heat against the bottom of the steel tank in a way the original design never anticipated. The glass lining engineered to protect the steel interior from water contact begins to crack under that concentrated thermal stress. Once the glass lining fractures, Raw carbon steel meets hot, oxygenated water directly with nothing in between. Corrosion starts immediately eating through the tank wall from the inside out at an accelerating rate that compounds with every month you ignore it. This is the mechanism that turns a perfectly functioning water heater into a ticking time bomb for catastrophic water damage that can flood your garage, basement, or utility closet. Water damage from a burst tank costs between $2,000 and $10,000 to clean up and repair, according to insurance industry estimates. The popping and rumbling sounds you hear from your water heater late at night are not normal settling noises. They are steam bubbles exploding as superheated water trapped beneath the sediment layer tries to escape through microscopic cracks in the mineral crust. That's sound. Is your water heater screaming for maintenance and the vast majority of American homeowners ignore it for years until the tank fails catastrophically? Meanwhile, every shower you take pulls water through that corroded, mineral-packed, sediment-lined tank. Microscopic particles of rust and calcium enter your pipe system and flow out of every hot water faucet in your house. You cannot see those particles in the steam of a hot shower, but fill a white bucket with your hot tap water and hold it next to cold water from the same faucet. The difference in color between those two buckets will make your stomach turn. This is where I need to pause the investigation for a critical moment, because everything I just described, the sediment chemistry, the Department of Energy efficiency data, the corrosion cascade, the industry revenue figures, I documented every single data point with sources. Every study, every institution, every dollar amount is compiled inside the complete Forbidden Home science. The vault contains the full water heater flush protocol with a complete step-by-step walkthrough and detailed safety warnings. The home plumbing maintenance guide that covers every system a plumber charges $200 per visit to inspect and service. The energy audit checklist that identifies every hidden cost silently inflating your monthly utility bills without your knowledge. The appliance lifespan extension manual that can add 3 to 5 years to every major system in your home for pennies on the dollar. The emergency water damage prevention guide that protects your property against incidents costing $2,000 to $10,000 or more. The complete hard water treatment breakdown that 85% of American households desperately need but never receive. And much more beyond what I can list in this video. Over 10 complete guides in one location, no filler, no fluff, straight to the information the industry does not want you to have. The link is in the description, but stay right here, because what the water heater industry did next is the part that should make you genuinely furious. In the 1990s, the water heater manufacturing sector underwent a massive wave of corporate consolidation that reshaped the entire market. 3 companies, A.O. Smith Corporation, Rheem Manufacturing Company, and Bradford White Corporation, came to dominate the entire American residential water heater market. Together, these 3 corporations control the overwhelming majority of every tank water heater sold in hardware stores, home improvement warehouses, and plumbing supply houses across all 50 states. Their collective business model depends on one single recurring event, the replacement cycle. A standard tank water heater is rated to last 8 to 12 years under what the industry defines as normal operating conditions. But those normal conditions quietly assume sediment buildup that nobody addresses, nobody measures, and nobody warns you about it at the point of sale. The 8 to 12 year lifespan printed on the warranty card is not a fundamental engineering limitation of the technology. It is a profit timeline carefully calibrated to maximize revenue per household over the lifetime of a 30-year mortgage, because every 8 to 12 years, over 130 million American households need to spend between $882 and $3,000 on a replacement unit plus professional installation labor. That is a revenue engine worth tens of billions of dollars every single decade, and it runs on one fuel: your complete ignorance about a simple brass drain valve sitting at the bottom of a tank you never think about. The truth that this industry has absolutely no incentive to broadcast is devastatingly simple. A properly maintained water heater flushed annually with clean water and descaled periodically with basic white distilled vinegar can last 15 to 20 years or longer. That is nearly double the standard replacement cycle that the entire manufacturing and installation industry is built around. Doubling the lifespan of every residential water heater in America would slash replacement revenue in half overnight. That reality terrifies an industry built entirely on the quiet assumption that you will never learn what I'm about to show you in the next part of this video. If you have made it this far, you already understand more about what is happening inside your walls than 99% of homeowners in this country. Subscribe, share this with every person you know who owns a house, and remember that everything the industry buried is waiting for you inside the complete Forbidden Home Science. The link is in the description. Now stay with me because the financial breakdown coming next is the heaviest vault I have ever cracked open. Let me show you exactly how the money flows out of your pocket and into theirs. The average American household spends roughly $400 per year heating water, according to estimates published by the Department of Energy. Water heating alone accounts for approximately 13% of all residential energy consumption in the United States, making it the second largest energy expense in the typical American home, right behind space heating and cooling. When sediment accumulates at the bottom of your tank, that $400 baseline annual cost climbs by 15 to 30% without any change in your usage patterns. That is an extra $60 to $120 per year bleeding out of your bank account with zero visibility on your utility statement. Over a 10-year period without a single flush, that invisible sediment tax costs you $600 to $200 in pure wasted energy that heated rock instead of water. Now add the premature replacement cost of $882 to $3,000 because the corroded tank failed 5 years earlier than a properly maintained unit would have lasted. The total financial damage of simply ignoring a brass drain valve at the bottom of your water heater is between $2,500 and $4,200 per household over a single decade. Multiply that, figure across the 130 million households in the United States, and you begin to see the staggering scale of what is being systematically hidden from American consumers. This is not an accident, and it is not an oversight. This is an economic architecture designed to extract maximum revenue from minimum consumer awareness. The plumbing services sector in the United States generates approximately $170 billion in annual revenue, employing over 700,000 workers nationwide. Water heater service calls, including diagnostic visits, flushes, part replacements, and full unit installations, represent a massive slice of that enormous revenue pie. A single professional flush visit that takes 1 to 2 hours of a plumber's time costs between $100 and $300 depending on your region. The materials required to perform that identical flush procedure are a standard garden hose and a 5-gallon bucket, both of which you already own. The plumber brings knowledge that you were deliberately never taught and charges premium service rates for delivering it to your garage. But here is the part of this investigation that should make you close your laptop and walk directly to your water heater right now. The entire flush procedure takes approximately 30 minutes of your time and costs you absolutely nothing in materials. If you add the vinegar descaling step that dissolves hardened mineral deposits, the water flush alone cannot remove. The total cost is $2 for a gallon of standard white distilled vinegar from any grocery store shelf. $2 to accomplish what a licensed plumber charges $160 to $300 to perform. Here is the exact protocol I documented for the vault, and I'm giving it to you right now for free. Step 1, locate the power source on your water heater and shut it down completely before touching anything else. If your unit runs on natural gas, turn the control dial to the pilot position or rotate it fully to off. If it runs on electricity, go to your main breaker panel and flip the dedicated 30-amp breaker labeled water heater to the off position. This shutdown step is not optional because the water inside that tank is above 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and contact with it will cause severe burns instantly. Step 2, find the cold water inlet valve at the very top of the tank. It is the pipe feeding water into the unit, and close it completely by turning the handle clockwise until it stops. Step 3, wait 30 to 60 minutes for the internal water temperature to drop to a safer handling level, and use that waiting time to gather your materials, which are 1 garden hose and access to an outdoor drain or a large bucket. Step 4, connect the garden hose to the drain valve at the very bottom of the tank, a small brass spigot near floor level, and run the other end of that hose outside through your garage door into a floor drain or into a large bucket. Step 5, go inside the house and open 1 hot water faucet anywhere in the home, any bathroom or kitchen. Faucet turned to the hot side because this breaks the vacuum seal inside the tank and allows gravity to pull the water down and out through the drain. Step 6, open the drain valve and witness the moment that changes everything you thought you knew about your home. The first gallons that pour through that hose will be dark brown or black, carrying visible chunks of calcium crystal, compacted mineral deposits, and orange rust flakes that look like they came from a construction demolition site. The water will look like coffee that has been sitting in a pot for a week, thick and opaque and utterly revolting. This is what has been sitting inside the machine that heats the water you shower in, cook with, and give to your family every single day. Fill a white bucket with that first flush water and set it next to a glass of clean, cold tap water from the same faucet, because that visual contrast will tell the story better than any words I can speak. Let the tank drain completely, which takes 10 to 15 minutes for a standard 50-gallon unit, then move to the critical flush cycles. Step 7, with the drain valve still open, briefly reopen the cold water inlet valve at the top of the tank so fresh water rushes in from above and pushes any remaining loose sediment out through the open drain below. Close the inlet, let it drain again, then repeat this power flush cycle 3 to 4 times until the water flowing out of the hose runs perfectly clear with no discoloration. Step 8. This is the advanced step that separates a basic flush from a complete chemical restoration of your tank interior. Locate the anode rod access port on the top of the tank, which is a hexagonal bolt head requiring a 1 1/16 in socket and a breaker bar to remove because it will likely be corroded in place. Pull that anode rod out and examine it carefully because a healthy rod is a smooth, solid metal cylinder and a spent rod looks like a skeletal bone eaten alive by the sacrificial corrosion it absorbed over the years to protect your tank walls. If your rod is heavily depleted, replace it immediately for $15 to $25 at any hardware store because this single component is the only thing standing between your tank steel and catastrophic internal corrosion. Now insert a funnel into the open anode rod port and pour 2 to 4 gallons of standard white distilled vinegar directly into the empty tank. Reinstall the anode rod securely, reopen the cold water inlet, and let the tank fill completely with a mixture of fresh water and vinegar solution. The acetic acid in that vinegar will chemically dissolve hardened calcium carbonate deposits bonded to the tank walls that no amount of water flushing alone can remove. Leave this vinegar solution sitting inside the sealed tank for a full 24 hours to complete the chemical reaction. After that 24-hour soak, drain the entire tank one final time, run 2 complete clean water flush cycles to remove all dissolved mineral residue, then close the drain valve, remove your garden hose, fully reopen the cold water supply, and let the tank refill completely with fresh water. Relight your gas pilot flame or flip your electric breaker back to the on position and wait 30 to 45 minutes for the tank to reach operating temperature. The result is immediate and dramatic. Noticeably hotter water from every faucet, faster recovery time between uses, measurably lower energy consumption on your next utility statement, and a tank that will now last years beyond the lifespan the manufacturer predicted based on the assumption that you would never do this. Now, I need to be completely honest with you about one important limitation. If your water heater is already actively leaking from the bottom of the tank, if the steel shell shows visible rust holes, or if standing water is pooling on the floor beneath it, a flush cannot save that unit because the corrosion has already penetrated the tank wall, and replacement is your only remaining option at that point. But if your heater still functions, if you are hearing those popping sounds, noticing lukewarm showers, or watching your energy bill creep steadily higher each winter season, this 30-minute procedure can reverse years of accumulated damage overnight for $2. The Department of Energy data confirms that regular annual flushing adds 3 to 5 years of functional life to a standard residential tank water heater, 3 to 5 additional years of service at zero cost per year in maintenance materials. That translates directly to $1,000 to $3,000 in replacement expenses that simply vanish from your future budget. Combined with the ongoing energy savings of $60 to $120 annually, the total financial impact of this $2 procedure over a single decade exceeds $4,000 for the average American household. $4,000 in lifetime savings, sitting behind a brass drain valve that nobody ever told you existed. The water heater manufacturers absolutely know this. The plumbing service companies know this. The home warranty corporations that sell you annual protection plans know this. And not one of them has any financial incentive to share it with you because a homeowner who flushes their own tank annually is a homeowner who does not schedule a $200 plumber visit. A homeowner who descales with $2 vinegar is a homeowner who does not replace their unit every 10 years on schedule. A homeowner who truly understands their own home equipment is a customer that 3 separate industries have permanently lost. This knowledge did not disappear from public awareness because it was complicated or dangerous. It was never broadly distributed in the first place. Your water heater arrived with an owner's manual that mentions flushing in a single paragraph buried deep on page 37 with no photographs, no emphasis, and no explanation of the catastrophic consequences of skipping it. That manual was written by the same corporation that profits when you do skip it, and every single word was chosen accordingly. The sediment inside your tank did not win because it was an unstoppable force of nature. It won because you were systematically never informed that it was accumulating. But now you know. Go to your garage tonight, Put your hand on that water heater tank and feel the warmth of the machine that has been quietly working against your interest for years. Open that drain valve and see with your own eyes what has been hiding inside. And when you see the color of what pours out into that white bucket, send this video to every homeowner, every renter, every landlord, every person you know who pays a water heating bill. If this vault opened your eyes, subscribe and hit the bell, because every new vault goes deeper than the last. Every share preserves knowledge that the industry spent decades keeping locked away from the people who needed it most. The next vault opens soon, and what is inside it is even heavier than what came out of that tank today.